Hey y'all, I'm Jackie.
And I'm Ashley.
As you could tell by the title, my wife and I recently went on a trip to Cancun, Mexico.
And today we want to share with you a few tips that may help you avoid some of the pitfalls that we experienced on our travels. So tip number one would be to research your destination and the border status. You want to also know the current regulations for that destination. For instance, if they require COVID testing, if they require you to self-quarantine for 14 days upon arrival.
Right, like having to stay in your room for additional 14 days, and if you already have vacation time from work for only 5 days, you don't want to be stuck in Jamaica or wherever your destination is past your vacation time to quarantine. Number two, find out if the destination you're going to is required a COVID test. My wife and I, we did some research. We found out there's 2 different type of COVID tests that's required. You mind sharing a little bit of it?
Sure. So there is a PCR test and there is a quick response test.
Right.
And so depending on the destination, for instance, we initially wanted to go to Montego Bay, Jamaica. The type of test that they required in the state where we live, it was going to take several days to get our results back, several weeks actually to get our results back. So that destination canceled itself out due to the type of test they required.
Right. And to make matters worse, since the epidemic is so large right now, so many people are trying to get testing, sites are limited as to the amount of people they can receive. So imagine trying to set an appointment for yourself, but also for your significant other. We live in one side of town. We almost have to travel an hour away to get tested. Thank God my wife was diligent. She stayed up all night and found a location that was actually 15 minutes up the road at a local CVS. So not only that, we saved the time from having to travel an hour away from our home to get tested. We went to a spot that was more local, and she got our appointments back to back. Because initially her appointment for her testing was at 10 a.m. and mine was at 4:30 p.m. in the afternoon. So we were able to carpool and go together and get tested.
Correct. And another tip would be to prepare as much as possible beforehand. You want to make sure that you purchase your mask, they have travel size air sanitizers, hand sanitizers, because those are things that definitely will come in handy during your travels. You want to make sure that you follow the airport guidelines. So you just want to research those things and be aware of what you can and can't bring. I also purchased Clorox wipes, and I took them out of the container and put them in a Ziploc bag. We brought those with us so we can wipe things down. We brought gloves with us so that we can, if we needed to use gloves, those would come in handy. We brought multiple masks. We brought disposable masks along with cloth masks so that we can throw, masks away if we needed to. Just prepare as much as possible because these are trying times. These are definitely difficult times to travel in. But if you really would like to get out there and travel, just make sure you're prepared.
Definitely. We have 2 small kids of our own. Worst thing we could have done is go on vacation and get contacted with the virus and bring it back. So we were extra careful. We purchased and prepared as cautious as we could. And we did a lot of social distancing. This was a vacation for me and my wife, so we didn't do anything with large groups. We didn't be close with other strangers. In the airport, we tried to stay as distant as we could. Now, unfortunately, on the plane, we were a little bit in closer proximities, but the way they have the plane set up, the middle aisles is all empty. So my wife and I, we sat next to each other, just like this on the plane. The aisles is empty and another couple sat on the other side.
And that's another tip. You can also check your airline's website, the airline that you selected, because they'll tell you what protocols they put in place to help assist with social distancing. We travel with American Airlines, so as Jackie stated, the middle row was vacant, so folks weren't in such close proximity. So that's a good tip as well.
Also, consider getting trip insurance. We never get that. But due to having to change from Montego Bay, Jamaica to Cancun, Mexico, we didn't have any insurance protection on our purchase of our trip. We had to pay the difference. Not only having to pay the difference was a headache because you budget for your trip. The fact that we had to be on hold and call different people, we had to go from calling JetBlue to explain to JetBlue Airlines what's going on, to calling American Airlines, to having American Airlines accept our change of schedule and flight arrangements. And then we have to also get in contact with the trip provider, which was Trip Caribbean, and explain to them, listen, due to the COVID test results not coming back in time, we have to change the destination. You may think I'm kidding when I tell you this, but this was an all-day process. My wife got on the phone at 9 a.m. and she was on hold for about 2.5 hours, 3 hours. She finally got through, started explaining what the process was, that we were experiencing the call drop. Then we had to call back and then be on hold again. And then when she called back, we was finally able to get the ball rolling, but we had to call different airlines, and it was a Saturday. It was just a total nightmare. So it's Saturday and our trip is Wednesday. We were scrambling trying to get the process under control, and we were able to do that. So if you have trip insurance, I think that can save you all the headache that we went through to try to reschedule the flights.
Well said, well said. Well, guys, thank you so much. We hope that these tips were helpful. We wanted to provide you all with some insight as to some of the things we experienced. We're going to talk more about our trip and show some of the highlights. And so please stay tuned if you'd like to see those highlights. And again, thank you for joining. We hope that you place a comment down at the bottom, like this video, and subscribe to our channel if you'd like to see more of us. And enjoy the highlights.
Oh, is that my friend? Is that you, my friend? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Mango poquito. And a pio.
Thank you, senor.
It's a pleasure.
Gracias.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What we about to do, babe? Don't be scared.
I'm very scared.
Ah, no problema, señorita.
I don't want
I think you have to watch further down.